myself because I don't have the money to do those things. I'm not trying to help myself. My entire life is abuse. All of it. I'm your accepted victim. If you can call somebody mentally ill, which is 80% of the population, over 80% of the American population, has some form of what you guys call mental illness. But mental illness itself is not a diagnosis. When somebody is a victim, but they're called mentally ill, you all do the same thing. They don't matter. They're not important. Maybe if they're family you care, but you probably don't. You're probably like my dad. You took advantage of him because you could. I mean, the best thing for my dad was to be able to pretend like he was trying to help me. But then again, did he help me with the things that I needed? No, he went out of his way not to. And then to lie about the situation repeatedly. When someone is telling you about the abuse that they are enduring, they are 100% of the time trying to get you to listen. 100% of the time, they're not trying to get your advice. They're not trying to get you to talk over them. They're not trying to get you to invalidate how they feel. How am I supposed to feel about abuse? Oh, Sean, you should just let it roll off your back. Oh, Sean, you should just go get a job. No matter how many times I explain my disabilities, they're not going to hear it. They're not going to try to understand. Anything that I tell them about my disabilities, they're not going to use to try to understand my situation or how difficult this is for me. They're going to try to twist it into somehow it's my fault that they abused me. I tell these people about my disabilities so that they can help. And what do? They go out of their way to try to twist my words into something they ain't. Try to grossly reinterpret. Go out of their way not to call and listen. They want to tell me about all their personal fucking problems. And as a result, all of their personal problems get posted up on YouTube. Because these people wasted my time. They took advantage of me, knowing full well what they were doing. Making empty promises when I had nobody else to go to. Making empty promises, misleading the situation, lying to me repeatedly, and having their friends do some of the world's most fucked up shit. Being forced to go to officers who had already committed felonies against me to try to turn in other criminals and criminal acts against me. Having to go in alone because everybody else is a fucking coward. These people who want to tell me that they're being threatened by the police, they're being threatened by all these other people. Then I get called schizophrenic because I had to make decisions based on that, on you wasting my time and then fucking lying to me. Were you or were you not threatened and harassed? Did the police or did they not threaten and harass you and intimidate you repeatedly as you claim? Did these web-wing nuts or did they not threaten to kill you and your family? I recorded you telling me those things. They're on my YouTube channel. I was not allowed to show those things in court because of the mentally ill tag, like I told you from the start. Don't tell me anything that you are not going to tell the police. Ever. For my dad and the shit that he did, you know what? He abused the living fuck out of me and took advantage of the situation to get away with his crimes. He took advantage of Natalie's death the same as all of my other predators. My dad, Jerry Sparks, Lana Engeline. There's a reason that I stopped being friends with them. The same thing with Candace Bondurant. Well, I was in Virginia visiting Natalie Bollinger and Alicia Bollinger. Me and my dad stopped being friends, stopped talking to each other, stopped all of that. He'd never been a father for the entirety of my life. No matter what abuse I endured, it was my fault, because mentally ill, mentally ill, mentally ill. My fault that kids bullied me and picked on me excessively for being different. That's right. Excessive bullying and harassment and getting beaten up because I'm different, not because I was harmful, not because I was mean, not because I was evil. And then when I'm angry because nobody will do anything about it. Sure, it's illegal, but only if somebody fucking cares. You're called mentally ill, so anybody can do anything to you at any point in time and get away with it. And it's their word versus yours. And even if you record it, they're still not going to listen. They will make any excuse. All these recordings, I needed help getting them into the courts. Out of all the people that offered to help, the ones who offered to look at evidence and help me to turn it in, the people who offered to help me to do these things in person, those are the ones who I focused on. That is the help that I needed. Meanwhile, I was also jumping through hoops, expensive hoops, going to meeting after meeting after meeting because I was charged with bogus fucking charges. And then to this day, I still gotta, who do I have to ask? A bunch of homeless junkies, a bunch of addicts out here on the streets. You know what? They're stuck in survival mode themselves. My drink is gonna taste like sand now. Anyway, these are the people I have to go to. Obviously, my dad is going to do everything that he can to play victim, to pretend like he's trying to help, and going out of his way 100% of the time to hide anything that he says and to not listen to anything that I'm saying. I told him I wasn't going to believe a goddamn thing he had to say until he asked for my number and called me. He asked for my number, but he never called me. Instead, he started up immediately with the fucking cowardly bullshit. All he wants to do is fuck with my head. He's not interested in helping me. He's not interested in listening. He's interested in victimizing me by gaining control again. If I allow him control to pay my insurance, like I did last time, exactly the same thing, my insurance. He said that he not only would pay it, but that he did pay it. That is recorded on my YouTube channel. But he didn't. Now, the important thing about that is this is exactly how it is. I either have to take the abuse or I will be abused. I cannot speak up about my father's abuse or he will abuse me financially. Just like I can't speak up about the police abuse or they will abuse me financially and physically. And of course, in the prison in Lincoln, sexually. But that's okay, isn't it? It's perfectly okay because you call me mentally ill and it makes it somehow magically legal to do these things. And then, of course, you tell me I chose it. I chose for you to victimize me. I chose for you to look the other way. I chose for you to not tell the truth. I chose for you to tell me things that you did not try to tell the courts, that you did not even try to make a police report. You made zero effort. You claimed that you did these things. Where is your proof? See, well, I've been trying to show proof. All of these people have the resources to do things that I cannot do. They have the ability to sit there for hours on end and look for that fucking evidence. Obviously, they can spend hours and hours on end arguing with me or telling me about their own personal fucking problems nonstop. Yeah, when you tell me that you're gonna help me and then you won't shut up about you, how the fuck is that help? when I've got a place on my YouTube channel, recorded dozens and dozens of phone calls to this place, them treating me exactly how I told you they would treat me if I had to call them by myself. And then what do? You want to say, oh, well, did you try this place? Jesus fucking Christ. That's the problem with nobody caring. Nobody is paying any attention. None of these people who claim to care, if they're busy looking the other way, they don't care. And then there's, of course, the benefits they rob themselves of in doing so. You know, all these people who wanted to look the other way through all of this. I got so many of them who want to come back and get a hold of me and say, hey, Sean, I need your help. Are you fucking kidding me? Are you kidding me? You want me to go to Colorado to help you, and you're one of the people who wanted to victimize me and play victim. You're one of the people who was involved in the situation with Natalie, but you don't want to speak up. There's some of them, they want to say, oh, I don't know Natalie. That doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you know Natalie or not. You are a witness to portions of the situation. You already admitted to those portions of the situation. Maybe you should look at the evidence, look at the timeline, and look how important that piece of fucking evidence is. Instead of saying, oh, I don't know Natalie. Well, what the fuck do you think I was trying to get your help for? Huh? You admit that I came over to your house and tried to get help. You admit that you were busy playing video games. You admit that you were busy selling drugs. So obviously I did go to you for help. So what did I go to you for help about? The cops wrote down that I wasn't trying to get help. That's the biggest fucking crock of shit ever. They also said that people wouldn't help, probably because the way that I act. No, the way that I acted was because I wasn't getting helped. I was getting empty promises. These people said that they would help over and over again. And of course, then there's the help that they did provide but didn't follow through on. It's not that they didn't have the time. They had plenty of fucking time. It's that drugs and alcohol and sex were more important. Now I ask you, how is their drug and alcohol consumption my fault? And you tell me to go to somebody else. If those people are all on fucking drugs and alcohol, go to somebody else. I've been trying for 6 fucking years. I have to live on jack shit per month. It's not enough to fucking live on. Without a guardian to make sure that these places that are supposed to help us actually do so, they're not going to do so. Just like everyone else in America, they're lazy and they just want to collect a paycheck. You guys have no idea how much work it is for me to try to defend myself, and I have to. You don't get, I can't take care of myself, and I am stuck in a position where I will be victimized for the rest of my life unless I can get help showing this evidence. I spend thousands and thousands of dollars to travel all over the place to people who promise to help me if I go there. I shouldn't have had to go to those fucking people. There's the people who were involved, like Kinga Nichols, should have spoken up. She should have spoken up publicly. She should not have hid like a coward and allowed me to be victimized for doing the right thing. She should not have allowed me to be victimized for telling the truth. Well, guess what? There's recordings with Kinga Nichols on my YouTube channel for a reason. Because she didn't give a fuck about me. It was pretty words and talking about her. Oh yeah, and telling me to go to people who had already victimized me. And saying, oh, you need to go to Darren O'Connor, Darren O'Connor, Darren O'Connor. No, none of you are fucking listening. Darren O'Connor fucked me over severely. And you guys not wanting to fucking hear it, not wanting to look at the fucking evidence, wanting to talk about yourselves, and fucking go out of your way for selfish reasons and selfish gain. You did not come forward and tell the truth. Yeah, King of Nickels, you're on my YouTube for a reason. You did fucked up shit. Don't talk to me about your American citizenship. Don't. You can't tell the truth because as an American citizen, you're afraid that they will revoke your citizenship and send you back to Hungary. Well, if that's what you're going to do with your American citizenship is be a coward, then yeah, they should take it away and send you back to Hungary. On second thought, as cowardly and selfish as that is of you to do, it is actually a very American thing to do. So King of Nickels should stay here, and Russia should launch a bunch of nukes at us. That's my personal opinion. You don't like it? You don't like hearing that while you look away from the most victimized people in America, that you actually deserve that treatment? Equality means all of us. We means all of us. But you get to see how there are no rights if you're poor. Anyone can accuse you of anything at any point in time, and you will be victimized by the public, by the police, by the media. And all these people who wanted to hide their names but promised they were going to help, promised they were going to come forward, promised they were going to speak up, promised they were going to look at evidence. And then later on, they want to play coward. Well, you shouldn't have fucking lied to me. You shouldn't have played tough if you're not that tough. You shouldn't have said you're not afraid if you are seriously that fucking afraid. Nate type, can't expect everyone to know what you're doing. You're right. I can't expect everyone to know what I'm doing. That's the problem with not having help. I am an at-risk adult who cannot do any of these things for myself. I cannot do it financially. I cannot do it physically. I cannot do it mentally. I need help. I literally need help to turn in my predators. I cannot do so. If I try to turn in people who are predatory towards me, I will be victimized. That's as simple as it is. I am a homeless white male. All right? Even with no history of any mental diagnosis, the American public is going to still assume that I am quote unquote mentally ill, and it is going to be, of course, interpreted not as somebody who is depressed because they lost their family members. It's going to be interpreted as school shooter, Jack the Ripper, fucking Jeffrey Dahmer bullshit. That is what most Americans, when they want to harm you, that is what the term mentally ill means. And even if they don't want to harm you, if they're using the term mentally ill, they are harming you. They are automatically giving a false narrative because you have a diagnosis. I have a diagnosis not of schizophrenia, not of being delusional. Sure, the cops told the hospital that I was schizophrenic and delusional, but my diagnosis, what are they? I was diagnosed with Asperger's. I was diagnosed with Tourette syndrome. And I'm going to tell you something. Neither Asperger's nor Tourette syndrome are disabilities where people hallucinate. These are not disabilities where people go out of their way to imagine things that aren't there. No, people who are autistic, especially those of us with Asperger's, we're about the most realistic people you can ever find on the planet. We're also some of the greatest minds you'll ever run into. But that's difficult for you because, of course, here in America, we have to be jealous of anybody who has anything we don't. If you go to a party and there's a woman paying attention to a dork, and you think that she should be paying attention to you because you're a jock, You're bigger than he is. You're higher on the food chain. So what are you gonna do? You're gonna go telling some bullshit story to that girl about how he shits his pants and eats it. What a fucking nice guy. Can't stand to see anybody who is lower than you on the social ladder have anything. And the people who are higher than you on the social ladder can take away everything you've got with a lie, and you fucking know it. Now, as far as having Asperger's and Tourette syndrome, I wink at people, especially if I'm nervous. So I've been beaten up for being a homosexual. I've been beaten up for winking at people's girlfriends. And the fact is, it's not a choice. It's a muscle spasm. It's Tourette syndrome. And you guys, you have this Hollywood version of it, where everybody with Tourette syndrome must curse. That's one of the things that really irked me at the very beginning when Natalie first disappeared. People were wanting to make excuses for me that are bullshit. They were wanting to claim that I was cursing because I have Tourette syndrome. No, I was cursing because I was pissed off and still am. I cursed because people didn't listen when I spoke nicely. They didn't hear a goddamn word I had to say. Now you get to go back, if you're willing, if you actually care. You can go back through my conversations with all these people, going all the way back to the beginning, and you can listen. You can hear how these people all have told me recently, or as recently as we spoke last, that they didn't say certain things. Meanwhile, you can go back through those conversations with us and you realize they absolutely did. Then there's the parts where they say, oh, Sean, you never said that. You never told me that. You know what? You should have checked my YouTube channel before you started saying that. Yes, I have, in one of those conversations, I say the same thing to Shannon Alvarado at least 10 times in that conversation. And there's at least 5 other conversations where the things that I was telling her, I told her over and over again, every one of those conversations. And even knowing that those are up, as drunk as she gets, she couldn't remember what was in those videos, the things that were recorded. She couldn't remember them. Wanted to say, I never said that, and you never told me that, and yeah, I did. You guys make any excuse without even trying to find out. Like all these people who say, oh, Sean, I'll help you, send it to me, and I'll help you turn it in. And I send it to them, and they go, oh, well, I can't turn it in because I'm in a different state. No, that's bullshit. That's an outright fucking lie. Kara Johnson Miles proved that. And she wasn't the only one. If they're going to change the rules for me, they're going to make them different for me than they are for my predators. If they're going to make it so that only my predators get to speak and I don't. If they're going to make it so that my predators have help from the police, including committing felonies, and I don't even have help turning in my predators, there's something fucked up there. If these people are going to play me and pretend like they're afraid, then they need to speak up, or I will. It doesn't matter to them because they're not going through it. The fact that Candace Bondurant and my dad and Jerry Sparks and that whole clan, the fact that I was done with them while I was in Virginia. I was cleaning my life up and getting rid of those kind of people from my life. I was getting rid of people like Brian Schwartz, predators who I was repeatedly forced to go back to, because when you try to turn this shit in and you're an at-risk adult, you're always told to go to your family, go to your family. Your family is supposed to help. Don't you have any friends? No, I fucking don't. I thought I did, but it turns out they were all full of shit and lying to me. Worse than that, they were dumb enough to be recorded. Then, instead of fessing up to their shit, knowing that they got fucking busted straight out, they want to pull the Shaggy thing. Wasn't me. Yeah, whatever, dude. You think Todd Ryan Case wants people to know that he was abusing Chloe Pachovas? You think that's part of Chloe Pachovas' life she wants to remember? You think K. Slayton Morris wants everybody to know about him being strung out on meth or the things that he took part in because of it? No, these people don't want folks knowing their fucking secrets. But then again, they shouldn't have gaslighted me. They shouldn't harassed me. They shouldn't have told me they were my friends when they went out of their way to look the other way. When they literally will not listen to me. K. Slayton Morris, at all this time, there's only one time that he and I actually spoke. He was fucking drunk as a skunk in Chapel, Nebraska about 2-3 years ago. And he said he'd speak, and then he fucking said some drunken goddamn spiel. I'm like, holy fuck, dude. Never mind. He says to me, Sean, you're the most honest man I know. And I'm like, yeah, duh. Now why aren't you listening to me? Why are you forcing it and typing? It's because all of you know that you can take shit out of fucking context that way. You can try to justify being pissed off and treating somebody like shit because you want to go out of your way because there was one typographical fucking error. You got to see how my dad fucking flipped out about that shit. You know, I knew it was a typographical error. I knew it was. My dad can't spell for shit. I was his fucking dictionary. I was his thesaurus. Whenever he needed to know how to spell something or what something meant, it's, hey, Sean, hey, Sean, hey, Sean. So when my dad typed jester, Jester, instead of gesture, Gesture. I knew what he meant. I just felt it was ironic that the whole goddamn thing was a fucking joke. So jester was actually the right word. It is hot today. And I feel like telling people secrets. See, that's where people screwed up. Yeah, forgive them, forgive them, forgive them, forgive them, forgive them. But don't ever forget. Don't ever forget. None of these people are ever going to forget how I treated them after they stabbed me in the back. None of them are ever going to forget. They're never going to forget how after stabbing me in the back, I did tell their secrets. I did tell their involvement because they should have done so. They should have done so to begin with. The things that the cops said were outright lies. Now, the evidence between the cops and these witnesses shows that the cops lied. It also shows that the witnesses lied. Which gets pretty fucking complicated, doesn't it? What people wanted to do is promise me help that they never intended on providing, and then, of course, changing the rules later on after they'd wasted a lot of my fucking time and prevented me from getting help that I needed. By outright lying to me and claiming that they would help me how I was asking. They claimed that they would, and then their addictions and stupidity prevented it. Dan Faber, we got that recording with him where he said he didn't know that Shannon was an alcoholic. I fucking told him she was an alcoholic. I told him she was an alcoholic, and that's when he got all sorts of fucking abusive towards me. Just like he got abusive towards me over Layla Johnson, and he got abusive towards me over Diane Boatman. He didn't bother to find out what was going on. This is a guy who's telling me he's going to help me, and he believes that because he is contributing finances to me, that it gives him the right. That it gives him the right to jump into every situation and treat me like I'm in the wrong without finding out what's going on or what the history is. You say, mind your business. Mind your own business. This isn't everybody's business. No, it certainly fucking is. Did Dan Faber ever actually try to help me? No, he didn't. He played fucking head games, same as everybody else. When there were crimes against me, instead of speaking out, he wanted to fucking ignore it and pretend it didn't happen. But then again, I've got the recordings. All right, Nate typed, can't expect everyone to know what you're doing or have done. Some people are new listeners. Well, that's something I'm aware of, and that is the frustration. I need a guardian. I don't need a new listener every, few days promising to help me, and then, I go through and I give them my email address and say, hey, you send me your email, I will send you evidence from Natalie Bollinger herself. And I sent it to them, and no reply, no nothing. These are people who found me because of web sleuth groups. And then they listen to that shit in those web sleuth groups, and they believe the shit that they're told. And then they get on, and I'm trying to get them to take a look at evidence that shows the amount of abuse that I'm going through. All they care about is Natalie. This is all they care about. They don't care about the lives who were destroyed before or after. All they care about is Natalie. They don't care about me. They don't care about my safety. They don't care about my well-being. They don't care about what I'm going through, and they're not going to speak out. They're going to pretend to care and then tell me that they're sorry and they're too busy and they got too much going on. Well, you didn't have too much going on to get fucking snoopy and snooty and not mind your fucking business. You weren't too busy to send me a friend request. You weren't too busy to try to get invited to a group about Natalie Bollinger that nobody's allowed in. You know why nobody is allowed in that group? Because of the threats, the harassment, and the intimidation in that group. I have kicked most of the people who typed that shit out of the group. That was a group started by Katie Cahill, who was another victim of Kara Johnson Miles. And of course, instead of Katie Cahill and Shannon Alvarado working together, I've got to deal with both of these two being fucking idiots. They wanted to get involved, they wanted to create a bunch of drama and make things worse, and then they wanted to take 0 steps to do any sort of repair on the fuck-ups that they made. It's fine for these people to intentionally mislead me and deprive me of my time and resources. No, it's actually not. It's actually a felony. What these people did is take advantage of an at-risk adult. Now, let me tell you, when it comes to lawyers and when it comes to what I asked out of these people, I asked for what the lawyers told me. What the lawyers told me. And all of these people want to argue that it won't work. Doing what the lawyers said to do will not work. There's a reason they're lawyers and you're not. These people all become pocket lawyers all of a sudden when it comes to coming forward and telling the truth about what they know. Oh, they're pocket lawyers. Now all of a sudden they are lawyers. They're all lawyers who know everything about the law. No, you were just telling me that you couldn't help me as a witness to these situations. You couldn't help me because you're not a lawyer. No, you're a fucking witness, stupid. You don't have to be a lawyer. What you are doing is intentionally going out of your way to pretend not only that you are retarded, but that I am too retarded to know that you're fucking lying to me. No, you're a fucking coward and a piece of shit. You chose to take advantage of me. You chose to lie. You chose to intentionally mislead the situation. You got busted lying, and now you want to play victim. It's amazing. It's amazing how many people want to play victim after getting busted. These people said that they would help me to turn in the evidence, that they would look at the evidence and help me to turn it in, and not a single one of them ever did. The closest we ever got was Mandy Singer, who looked at some of the evidence, actually sat down with me and looked through some of it. Because of time constraints, instead of doing it the way that we were hoping to be able to do it. Well, because of abuse by Leslie Snell and the Dual County Sheriff's Department again. Well, we went through a lot of hell to try to get that shit done. Plus, there's the fact that she got bombarded with a bunch of crap that ended up screwing her over anyway. She had to stop and spend almost 40 hours jumping through hoops and filling out paperwork and making phone calls while I was there so that she could take care of everything that she needed to for housing because she was doing DoorDash, and they wanted her to write down every single mile and where she went and all this, that, and the other. She literally had to go through her phone, which this is something I don't know how to do, but Mandy Singer does. She literally had to go through her phone and write down every single route that she took and every single delivery and get the invoices and get a whole bunch of other crap and spend 40 hours doing that shit. How is she going to help me when she has to jump through all that just to keep her housing? And then there's the fact that that's literally a full work week to be able to do all of that. Plus, she is the only childcare for her grandkids because of the COVID bullshit. No, she literally did not help me to turn it in. She did not help me to turn it in. She also claimed that she did things that she has no evidence of doing, which is a pain for me. And I don't know the when she supposedly did so, because here's the thing. When Lisa, that's the lady that she was supposed to call and get a hold of, when Lisa talked to me finally, and she didn't actually talk to me, she messaged me, but at one point we did talk, and that is recorded. But she was making decisions that had shown me that Mandy had not gotten a hold of her by that point, and Mandy had let me know at that point that she had not gotten a hold of Lisa. And Lisa and Region 2 went out of their way to drag it out as long as possible, to literally ignore everything, just as everyone does. Unless there is one person who cares to help turn it in. And who am I going to go to? I mean, Jacob, I'm trying to go to him. I've gone to where he told me to go. Every day that he tells me to go there, that he's going to help me. I also know his problems. I know why he's unable to. And the sad fact of the matter is I could help him. I really could. If we work together, we've got the resources between us to do a lot of good. But he's all about him. That's the problem with everybody on the streets. They're all about themselves. And that's what you guys tell us to be. All about ourselves. You tell us to be selfish. You tell us to be like you, except you have help. You have family. Who gives a shit? You have resources. You are able-bodied and can go to work. You lucky bastard. Anyway, I'm thirsty. I gotta go get something to drink, and obviously, I'm not gonna be able to get help. Obviously, none of you are actually going to listen to the victim. You're just gonna talk over me. You're gonna give me advice. You are going to dismiss everything that I say halfway through me saying it. No matter what, you're gonna come up with some fucking excuse, some prepared excuse why it's magically okay. Which means you guys thought about it for a while. For a really long time, matter of fact. That's just pathetic. Because even with all that time that you spent trying to come up with a lie that would make what you did okay, the fact is you should have checked my YouTube before doing that. Those of you who thought you were being sly and being smart by typing your name in, well, that didn't work. That'll do so for some videos, but some videos have titles that hint to who the fuck you are. That way I can go back and find them later on. There's also the stuff that I still have recorded on 2 different computers that are in my vehicle right at this moment. I needed a safe place for me and my evidence. A safe place for me and my evidence where I could process it. There has been no safe place for me to do that. There has been no steady place for me to actually sit down, establish roots, get a fucking P.O. box. You guys have this idea, oh, well, you can get a P.O. box in this place for $6 or that place for $11. Meanwhile, I got Jennifer Richmond recorded telling me that she couldn't allow me to have a P.O. box without a local address. And that I couldn't use Dallas's address because Dallas was already having himself a P.O. box. So then if I'm going to use Dallas's place, I got to wait on Dallas to go get the mail. When is he going to be sober enough to get the mail? That was the question most of the time there. And of course, in all of these positions, first of all, I got to think about the kids first. That's number one. I'm about to sneeze. Number two, I got to worry about the fact that I'm in a subservient position. They can do whatever they want, and I have no rights. Good to be rid of you. Thanks for coming to visit. Stay out of trouble or don't get caught. Remember, you are your brother's keeper, and no victim left behind.